Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For those of you guys that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the house. Mr. Crypto Frank. It is early. You are not wrong. Steven Cicero, good to see you. Leo Lustig, good morning, sir. Andrew Masad, my man, appreciate you being a member. Let's see, Black Hat Team, 10 minutes to midnight. Alexander, good to see you, man. CDRBAZ. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say that, but good morning. Triple Nickel Technologies, all set. Everybody else I may have missed, I apologize. Let's get into it. We got Bitcoin, 65,614 bucks. Hell yeah, looking great. Ethereum, 2648. You guys think Bitcoin's pushing to 70K? I can't wait to see what Mr. Gensler says on CNBC television. He did like a 9-minute segment, so I'm kind of excited to watch that. I haven't had a chance to yet. We have Solana, 156 bucks over here. ADA, look at that, breaking 40 cents. This thing was down to like 30 cents the other day. It's crazy. Litecoin, LTC over here, 70 bucks just about, 69.81 to be exact. We got XRP looking like a soft prawn again, 58 cents. Get us all excited for nothing. Always think it's gonna go up, break the 60, and it never does. We got Caspa over here, 16.5 cents, holding pretty strong. There's some rumors going around that Caspa might be getting listed on a tier one exchange. I think it's gonna be Kraken. They said as early as next week, but I haven't seen any news on it. I think it's just hearsay, but I guess it's on the roadmap for year end, right? So that's a pretty big deal to get on a tier one exchange for Caspa. So shout out to the Caspa team. Hopefully that happens, because damn, that will be a nice little pump. Even if there is a dump after, you guys could at least get some profits there. ETC, we got $20.64. Hadouken into that. Hell yeah. We got Near Protocol, $5.52. AVAX is up 5.84% to $29.74. Not too bad. Look at that. Dogecoin up over 12 cents. Hadouken and Dogecoin. Perfect. Hell yeah. We got Shiba up 13.87%. Please pump my bags. That's amazing. I haven't seen Shiba move like that in a long time. We got Pepe up 15.46%. Dang. Nothing else really jumping out at me, but holy hell, things look pretty good today. $605 BNB. Interesting. All right, let's get over to crypto bubbles. See what we got over here. Aero, AERO, Aerodome Finance is in the top spot today, 26.1% up to $1.26. Is anybody that's strange as hell. It's $1.26, 26.1% up. That's strange. Is anybody into this? I don't even know what this is, to be honest. I've never invested in it, never heard about it until right now. Let me know. Actually, you know, I may have seen it, but I just don't feel like I've seen that logo before. Maybe it's changed. I don't know. Interesting. Again, Shiba is up 14.1%. We got Bonk up 13.8%. Pepe 15.4. What's this? This is Wormhole up 16.4%, 32 cents. Looks like Ordi is up 10.5% to $41.10. We got Conflux up 13% today to 18 cents, almost 19 cents. Hex is up 8.1%. If anybody's still holding that, it's a penny. What's going on with that Richard Hart, guys? Anybody heard any news about it? Is he still like on the run? Are they still like trying to get him for something? I don't even know why they'd be getting him. I forget, but yeah, I don't really know the whole story, to be honest. Check Aleo Trump. Aleo, that's the mineable coin. Yeah, I'll check that in a few. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, flashbang. Let's see. Fear and Greed Index looking like a 61 today. Dang, this shit's climbing fast. We don't want it to climb too fast though. We want it to stay under 75. That's where the perfect spot is, you know what I mean? Just keep it at under 75 and nothing gets too crazy. If it grows too fast, or this thing goes too fast, faster it climbs, faster it falls. It's my opinion. It's usually how it works out. All right, let's see. Top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, XRP, Lido Staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Toncoin over here in 10th place at a $14.8 billion market cap. We got Cardano trailing behind it. Look at that, only by like half. Well, I almost said half a million. That's 500 million or so. It's at a 14.3 in 11th place. So yeah, about 500 million off. We're looking like Tron's in 12th place. These two have been fighting, and yeah, interesting. I wonder if Cardano's going to flip Toncoin anytime soon. All right, Near Protocol in 21st place over here. Let's see, Litecoin's in 25th place. Casp is creeping back up, hopefully back into the top 30, but it's at 31st place right now at a $4 billion market cap. It's looking pretty good. I actually bought some Caspa yesterday. I bought back in because I sold some out at 17, so I bought back in when it was like around 16 even yesterday. All right, let's see. Let's move on to, actually, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna move on to the mining segment of things, but I'm gonna look at Aleo if it's here, or Aloe, or whatever you're supposed to call it. This coin that you're supposed to be mineable. $4.86. Nice, up 13.8%. Shout out to anybody that's mining it. Nice. God damn. 24 hours. This thing's just been climbing up the ladder until people decide to sell their bags. 7 days. What does this coin do? Does it have any use case, or is everybody just mining it because? Let's see. $2.69, the lowest I've seen. When did it come out? September? So it just came out, right? Yeah, it just came out September 18th or so. All right, that's when it was listed here anyways, right? So not too bad. Congrats to everybody that's mining that. Sweet. All right, moving on. ASICs. You guys don't like to timestamp this stuff. I want to see what everything's looking like today. Damn, the Lithium AL1 Pro 16.6 terahash unit at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. You guys are making $54.37 a day.
Bruh.
This thing's a dumping fast. Man, when it gets under $50, it's gonna be real sad. It's at $54 right now. These things are at $1,100 at one point. This one right here, $1,100 a day. Oh my god, I feel so bad for people that friggin' bought these things for like the price of a minivan. What is a Lithium looking like today? I wonder if it's because the price is going down. It's not. It's kind of stagnant though. 167's been like the last couple weeks, it feels like. Yeah, it's been stagnant. Yeah, people are just trying to get their money back. I get it. You got a mind to sell to pay the bills. Happy Friday, Mr. Rude Puts. Good to see you, buddy.
Perfect.
Zarkov, good morning. Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. I think they'll eventually come back a little bit, but who knows. AL1 15.6 terahash unit over here, $51.08 a day. We get the AL3 15 terahash unit making $48.81 a day. Could be worse, right? The Antminer L7, look at this thing. It's what, number 4 now on the top of the charts here for ASICs. $18.37 a day. That's the dual mining Doge and Litecoin. As Doge pumps, you guys get mostly Doge, so looking at Dogecoin being at 12 cents, it's pumping almost 8%. You're gonna see a nice jump in those L7s, which is cool, or L9s. Let's see, I wonder what the L7 is getting, but we'll get to that in a second. What do we got? Oh, that's the 17 gigahash unit. That's right, I forgot. The L9, there's 2 L9s now. 16 gigahash unit is making $17.29 a day, so about $1 less. Crazy. We get the A11 Dragon Ball miner, 3.2 terahash unit mining Radiant, $16.75 a day. How's Radiant doing? Down 2.96%. Man, this isn't on Tangent yet, right? Wait, it is on Tangent actually. It is on Tangent. What am I saying? I know it's on Tangent. Oh, and you know what? By the way, some Tangent news. You guys are looking into getting Tangent, by the way. Use code CCXD for 10% off. But they have staking now with Solana. But you have to have the newest iOS. And my phone, for some reason, will not update to the newest iOS. I don't know why. It's an iPhone 12. It's not like a new one, right? But it's not super old. I don't know why it won't update. It just keeps saying it can't do it. So I can't get the staking feature on my freaking thing, even though the app's updated. I don't know, but they're paying like 8% or 7 something. So if you guys have Solana, you're holding it in there anyways, why the hell wouldn't you stake it? I don't know why. But yeah, if you guys are interested, Tangent, again, code CCXD right here, promo code. Should get you 10% off. Yeah, 10% off. There you go. If you guys are interested. But yeah, I don't think the swapping feature's allowed yet, but Radiant might be a decent buy. I don't know. I really am not into Radiant. It's not really for me, but that's just because I don't know anything about it really. To be honest, I'm not like trying to throw shade. I just don't know much about it, and it could be a good time to buy if they're going to continue to make ASIC miners, right? Because I mean, I feel like this is just the start of it. If it does well, then more companies will make it. Do you need to use the Tangent wallet to use the app? Do you need the tangible? Oh yeah, Crypto Frank, yes you do. Sorry, I was reading that weird. Do you need the Tangent wallet to use the app? Yeah, you do, sir, unfortunately. Well, honestly, man, I don't know what wallet you use, but Tangent, hands down, my favorite wallet and the best wallet I've used, to be honest. They've never been hacked. It's super convenient. I don't have to charge the card, right? It's just an app for my phone. My phone's charged anyways, and it's on my pocket like a freaking third arm. You know what I mean? Like, I have this thing all day with me. It's not like I'm ever gonna, you know, just drop my phone. If I lose it, you can recover it. So it's like, it's not a huge deal, but I love Tangent, to be honest. All right, the L7 over here, you guys know I got this thing down at Terra Hosting being hosted. If you guys are interested, links in the description. This is the 9050 version. I have 3,425 watts being pulled. This thing is making $6.12 a day on at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So friggin' Hadouken into this L7.
Perfect.
Thing has been profitable forever. It's amazing. I love it. $5-6 a day for like years. It's crazy. Where are those new machines? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. The AL2 Lite, the 2 terahash unit, 500 watts over here. This just came out from Ice River. Code CHUMP gets you guys like 2.5% off if you're looking to buy these things. But I would just personally invest into these into the coins rather, not the miners. That's just my personal opinion. For all these new machines that are coming out, they're like, I just can't keep up with it. I can't keep up with how fast they're coming out. And I mean, it's no, you know, bashing on any of these companies. I know they got to make money, and obviously that's what they want to do. It's been a rough bear market, right? You got to make money. But I feel like you guys are the ones that get burnt, unfortunately. $6.43 a day on this thing. It looks good now, but what happens if it continues to, you know, network hash rate continues to climb and the profit comes down, and it's just, I don't know. Even though they're not too expensive. Where's the other one? There's another one. I think it's I forget. Where is it? Where is the other Ice River thing? It's a Caspa one. Where is it? Why is there no Caspa light miner here? All right, hold on. Here it is. Here it is. KS2 Lite. This is the other one. Man, I think only makes $1 a day. 2 terahashes, 500 watts, $1 a day. I think, I don't know. Yeah, I just buy the coin. That's my personal opinion. Just buy the coin. But I think I'm going to be getting one of those for review. They messaged me yesterday. I think they're going to be sending me that. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I didn't ask for it. We're just gonna have to see what happens. But if we do get it, obviously I'll give you guys my honest opinion. And I want you guys to be safe and not blow your money on shit. But right now is the time that it's the calm before the storm. If you guys are looking to make money, now's the time to buy, just before everything explodes. That's just my opinion. Don't take advice from people on YouTube, because that would be your first mistake. All right, let's see. Crypto Frank deleted a message. What did you say? You dirty son of a bitch. All right, moving on to GPUs. There's nothing really exciting about ASICs right now. All right, let's see. We got Aleo or Al. How the f are you supposed to say this? Can anybody break this up in the chat for me? How am I supposed to say it? Is it Aleo? Aloe? How do you say it? Is it like the lotion shit you put on the sunburn? Aloe? Is that how you say it? Just tell me yes. Tell me yes in the chat. That's all I need to know. Anyways, I'm gonna say Aloe because I don't know how to say it. Aloe, top of the charts, 40 series cards. We got the 170HX with Abel over here. Carlson and Pyron for this 4070 Ti Super. Nice. We got Chlor. How's Chlor looking? Let's check out Chlor. Aleo. Is that how you're supposed to say it? Crypto KJ, get out of here. Is it Aleo? Aleo? Aleo, says Andrew Masad. Aleo. Okay, I'll say that then. I guess it's Aleo. Kind of like a layup, only different. All right, let's see. 7 days, 6 cents. Damn, it's had a 50% move in six days. I mean 7 days. Holy shit. Hadouken into that.
Perfect.
God, I'm pissed. I wanted to buy someone who was at 6 cents, but I didn't know where to buy it. Motherfucker. Mother effer is what it is. Oh, flashbanged you. I did that to Shay. Piece of shit. All right, let's see. Chlor over here, 7900 XT, the XTX rather. Wow, 6800. If I could speak today. XT, Chlor as well. We got Block X and Pyron over here. Conflux and Pyron. Nice. So it seems to be the consensus here for all the old cards, or AMDs anyways. Chlor, right? Aleo for the 40 series card. Anything new? All right, flashbang again. Let's see. Lithium's network hash rate says 16.33, hash rate overall 17.79. I don't understand why it's different, to be honest, but it seems like they're either testing or they have started shipping and people are starting to get their machines now, because this thing spiked up to 19 petahashes the other day, which is kind of insane. So I don't know what's going to happen with lithium. I hope it holds up, but I'm not sure it will. All right, we're going to move on to Gary Gensler over here on CNBC television. We got SEC chair Gary Gensler on crypto. This field will not long persist without investor protection. Let's see what this boob's got to say.
Eat shit, Gary.
Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. This is sped up to 1.2. Let's do it.
What is your take, though, on the argument, and especially around crypto, but other things as well, that rather than create new rules or even new laws that might have to be put into effect, that you have effectively regulated through legislation? I mean, that is a huge...
we don't legislate.
No, I understand that you don't legislate, but that rather than have legislation or push for legislation or even implement rules that could be with real sort of bright lines, if you will, that what's happened here, especially in the crypto world, is that it's been done through the form of legislation. I mean, not legislation, through lawsuits, effectively.
So what we are a law enforcement agency, and Congress set us up to be both. We oversee the markets. We approve all those registrations when people go public and so forth. But we also, about 700 plus times a year, bring actions. We have to go in front of a judge and sometimes juries. So now it brings it back to this new innovation. And what Satoshi Nakamoto did, we're almost at October, so it's almost the 16th anniversary, 16th birthday of Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's an innovation. But innovations don't long thrive if they don't also build trust. I mean, the automobile wouldn't have survived if you didn't have traffic lights, if you didn't have stop signs, and even cops on the road to make sure there weren't accidents. And so that's part of our role as being cops on the beat, and the rules are about the traffic lights to make sure. So in crypto, if you want to raise money from the public, there's a basic idea that you put out fundamental disclosures so that the investing public gets to choose.
So is your argument that you're doing this to make crypto stronger?
We're again, merit neutral. Crypto is only a small part of our capital markets. I mean, it's a little less than 1% of the world capital markets. But it's basically to instill trust and protect investors. Look at the leading lights in this field, in the crypto field, just 2 years ago. A number of them are in jail right now. And I'm not just talking about
because of you.
SBF. I mean, a number of others. Yeah. And there's been tens of...
All because of him. Listen, Shay, you guys need to get your shit together over there. X is not a Z, all right? The egg exchange, I'm going to call it the shit exchange from now on. All right? It's not, there's no Z. There's no Z. But no, all these people are in jail because of this guy. What in the hell?
Billions of dollars of losses and bankruptcies and so forth. What field in America, innovative field in America, survives without building trust in that field and protecting investors or consumers? You know, if you're selling cribs or something, you don't want people to have a problem with the cribs.
What we've heard from both candidates running in this election, first from candidate Trump and then from candidate Harris, is that they're going to be opening the doors probably and being more open to what crypto enthusiasts would like to see. Does that pose a problem, or are the rules kind of laid out at this point, the ground rules?
I'm not going to comment on elections. I'm in a role that I've
worked
on elections, and I love that too.
No, I'm not asking for a comment on the election.
He's like, I'm already in enough hot water. Please don't make me talk about the elections.
Just on the policies that both candidates seem to be embracing.
But on the policies, I think it's quite clear that investor protection helps build innovation. Innovation is compatible with investor or consumer protection if it's about automobiles or cribs or anything else. I think they complement each other. And I said this when I was teaching back at MIT. I said, this field will not long survive if you can't build that investor trust in the markets.
So does the idea of a loser policy concern you, that it would break down trust and the public would be at risk?
Well, I think that we have a time-tested set of laws and rules in our securities markets. Basic things. Investors get to decide, but they get disclosure. Roosevelt called it the Truth in Securities Act. The basic idea, we're in this building that NASDAQ exists. NASDAQ doesn't have the conflict of also running a hedge fund, trading on the market, and those conflicts inside of those. And so it's sort of like ensuring that you get the disclosures and you're protected against, kind of the insiders.
But there's some argument to be made that you want this, that actually it would be better if all of this business was happening in the U.S. You talked about an SBF. Obviously, that was taking place in the Bahamas. And, a lot of people were trying to do things in other places. If there was a real regime here that everybody could trust and we had established rules and there weren't these questions about whether you were going to go over the line or you're behind the line, where the line was, would that be better?
I think 100% it would be better. Real quick, Steve Mint, you're not wrong. He said crypto will win in the future, but you got to admit we'd be farther along without the SBFs in the world. And you're 100% right. I mean, it's hard to follow rules when there are no guidelines, right? I mean, obviously it's getting better now. He was clearly a fraud, right? But just in general, it's hard for people that are actually trying to do the right thing to actually do the right thing because there's nothing for them to follow, right?
That we do have those rules.
So you think those lines exist? Then why do people in the industry say that they don't know what the rules are?
Look, not liking them.
Because they didn't exist. He's such a lion sack of shit. Gary's not a stupid guy, but he also is an idiot because he contradicts a lot of what he says, and it's not there was no line. I mean, yeah, obviously the lines are getting a bit more clear, but there was never a line.
The rules is not the same as that there aren't rules, and I think there's a lot that have profited off of the public's interest in this field, but profited without the proper disclosures, and inherently there's business models that have a lot of conflicts, and we've seen the results of that time in and time again. Outside of crypto and inside of crypto, we see what happens when there's so inherent conflict. So we've got.
So he just said not following the rules is different than not having any rules, right? So I mean, I get what he's saying. Like, obviously, you guys you're supposed to do your things normally as if it was money and pay taxes and all this other shit. I get that, but when it comes down to like selling or being in the exchange and getting whacked for selling securities, like that stuff didn't exist. Like, so there's like. If there was, I don't know, that's his argument. It makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time.
90 years of experience with this, Andrew. It works reasonably well. We've got the deepest, most liquid capital markets. We're trying to make them more efficient. What we're doing in the equity markets,
I think
what we're
you're
doing in the
warming
treasury
up
markets.
to top tier crypto. That's my take.
What's that?
I think you're warming up to top tier crypto. I don't think you think it's a monolith. I think you think there might be some actual usage or benefit to top tier crypto. Would you say recently you're evolving to where? Go ahead,
Joe. Where are you on what's called altcoins? There's 15 or 20.
That's what I
Where
know.
are you, Joe?
But when you came in, you said that I probably only own Bitcoin, and you act like that's okay for me because I don't own all the garbage. I think you were thinking. So I just get the feel.
Garbage was your word.
I know, but are you warming up to top?
Huh? It was not that kind of a word.
Actually,
right.
Joe, for the public, used a stronger word than garbage.
I did, but are you warming up to? Do you see that it's probably here to stay and something that could be useful?
This is something I said to students 4 and 5 years ago.
I know, but you didn't say it to once you were the SEC chairman.
No. That this field will not long persist without investor protection or consumer protection. Number two, many of these projects, without prejudging anyone, are tapping into the public's interest to raise money. That's the classic securities sort of protections that you put in place. You can decide to go long or short these projects, but you need the disclosures. And as it relates to Bitcoin, my predecessor and I have said that's not a security. You now have a way that you can actually express that view, buy into that through exchange-traded products, traded on NASDAQ, traded on New York Stock Exchange and the like.
Okay, that's a yes then.
Where do you think Bitcoin is going to be in our society 20 years from now? If you were to sort of,
I don't really know.
You have any idea?
I don't know. I mean, there's 7 billion people around the globe. I'm not going to make a prediction as to any one project, but what I would say is the field is going to have a challenge building trust, and it already has a challenge building trust when there's so many fraudsters, scammers, grifters in the field, and there are.
But what happens if, for example, former President Trump is talking about whether we should have effectively a Bitcoin reserve fund, a sovereign Bitcoin fund? Would you be in favor of something like that?
Again, I'm going to
take the policy out, take the politics out of it. I'm just asking, if if someone in Congress came to you and said, hey, Gary, we're thinking of creating a sovereign wealth fund in Bitcoin, would you say that's a good idea? That's a bad idea?
I would say I'm going to stick to the role I'm in. It's a great role overseeing as chair of an agency.
But you're a
overseeing
very
securities
smart
markets.
guy who knows a lot about this space. You've taught about this space. I imagine you have a view. Is it that you don't feel like you can share the view? Or it's that you don't have a... I don't believe you don't have a view.
No, I have a view. I have a view.
And you
but
feel like it's a role, given your role, you think you're not
I think,
supposed to say?
I think, given my role, and also we're in election season. So I just think, for the listening public, I will stick to, my chalk lines. And my chalk lines are securities markets, and Chairman Powell and others at the Federal Reserve could speak to that. But yes, I do have a view on that.
Interesting. He is such a boob. All right. I'm going to be pulling some heartstrings on this one. We're going to listen to Mark Cuban talk about Kamala Harris over here and the whole thing. This is Mark Cuban on the VP Harris move to the center. She believes the country needs to come together. Let's see what this is all about, because I haven't watched it yet, but this is kind of relevant to everything that's going on today and prior to the election. So let's do it. There's actually two parts here. So we got this one and then another video after where they continued with Mark Cuban.
Vice President Kamala Harris sitting down for one of her first one-on-one network interviews since becoming the Democratic nominee for president. Here's an exchange that she had with MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle about tariffs.
Tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, I'm going to, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues. And one must be serious and have a plan. And
I hate how she changes her tone and how she talks. Does it drive anybody else nuts, or is it just me?
a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation at a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment, what will be the economic impact on everyday people.
We've got a lot of ground to cover with our next guest. I want to bring in Mark Cuban for his takeaways. Mark is a billionaire investor, of course, entrepreneur, is also a supporter.
It can't just be me, man. It can't just be me. It can't just be me.
Vice President Harris. So we know where you stand. I'm curious, listening to her there, and you called in a couple weeks ago to talk about what you thought she would be telling the public. And we quizzed you. We went back a little back and forth about just how much you knew versus what the public knew. How much more do you think the public knows now? And how much more do you think the public should know?
Well, I think obviously they know more. She's talking more. She's giving speeches. She was very clear about tariffs right there. And she's got 40 days to communicate other things. Remember, think of this as a business, and she's the CEO. She went from lack of favorability, lack of awareness, and way behind Donald Trump, right, to here we are 50 days later from where she started. She's at worst tied. Right? People on her economic policy, she was behind Trump 25%. Now she's behind 11%. So she's making progress. And if she just continues along that trend, the trend is her friend, it means she's doing the right things. And so she'll keep on communicating new ideas, new elements. She was a lot more specific on tariffs and where she stands. The difference between her and Donald Trump, to her point, Donald Trump will say what fits to the audience. When I talk to her team about different things, whether it's healthcare, whether it's tariffs, whatever it may be, she goes back and her team does a full analysis. She doesn't just say yes or no. They really dig into what she said.
What about
what's the impact?
Her team, though? Her team? They mean like she's being coached by people? Is that what he's trying to say?
But there is a critique that actually she will say whatever the audience wants, right? I mean, we look at the tipping, the tipping thing that took place in Nevada. Given some of the details that we don't have on certain things, is that because some of those details would be less favorable in certain audiences?
Do you see the Elon quote? I don't know what you think of Elon, but
I like Elon.
Anybody else just see the fly that pegged Mark Cuban in the face?
Do you see the Elon quote? I don't know what you think of Elon, but
I like Elon.
I like Elon too. But she was at 28% favorability, and then, as you say, things change. She's all the way up to about 50%. I would just argue that filling in the blanks does not account for that move.
It was a Trump drone. That's what that was. And
that the media coverage has been so positive and almost marked that it's like, we don't have to worry about trying to elect this guy who is clearly not up for another 4 years. And it's not Donald Trump. So they would have, the left and the people that need a candidate would have embraced anyone at that point. And ABC, it was 100% positive coverage of her, 92% negative of Trump. So Elon says, what changed? The media coverage.
Andrew Rassad says flies are attracted to bullshit. Oh Well, listen, Mark Cuban's a smart guy. He really is. I mean, everybody's political preference is different. There's two sides of the aisle. It is what it is, right? But just, I don't know. It's just funny.
Okay, first, what's the most watched news channel? Who are the most watched and viewed and listened to podcasts? Who are the most watched and listened to? Or
Is it
viewed?
Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, it's not close, right? The #1 shows are all Fox. The #1 podcast,
So
lean right.
even in
The
spite of that, she's been able to.
Not in spite of that, meaning, well, in spite of that, yeah,
okay.
meaning the mainstream media is not who you think it is. The mainstream media truly leans right.
Maybe that's why it's only tied then.
Well, maybe, right?
I don't know.
Where do you think she really is in terms of what this election is, in terms of the polls and the betting? Do you look more at betting sites?
No,
what do
when
you look at?
like, I'm an investor in Polymarket, right?
Okay.
Through a fund, and U.S. citizens can't bet on there, right? So it's kind of a meaningless number. Now, predicted, I haven't really followed, so I don't know.
Right. I was, we've disagreed on things. We go back and forth sometimes on Twitter. I just think I don't know whether it's good or bad that there are half the people that under no circumstances, no matter what, would ever vote for Donald Trump.
Can you imagine why?
On the other half, this is where I'm getting.
Okay.
On the other half, there are half the people that under no circumstances can look at what her comments have been in the past, and there's just, for whatever, just having gone back to, with me, the Dukakis days, the McGovern days, there's just no way that, and I'm not speaking for what I would do now, but there are people who think it's so patently far left and progressive, they would never, under any circumstances, vote for Kamala Harris. And here we are.
Right.
And have you convinced anyone to change?
Yeah, of course.
You've convinced people to change?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, I can't convince
Right, because
anyone.
here's what I say, right? Here's what I think is happening. She's learned, all the politics has learned from Donald Trump over the last 10 years. The way politics were done pre-2016 versus now is night and day difference. Not so much in the Democratic Party up until Kamala Harris. She learned what he did. He took over the Republican Party. The way the Republicans were in 2015 is nothing like they are in 2024. Now the Republican Party has basically become the family business. Kamala Harris has learned from that. She's basically taken over the Democratic Party.
That does not sound like a good thing, Mark.
It may or may not be, right? But it's a reality, right? In order to win, she said yesterday, she's not an ideologue. She's open to all ideas from everybody, from business, whoever. That's important. That's the difference. And when you listen to her talk, we talked about Donald Trump. Her team really does vet. Even if it's no tax on tips, they vet the whole thing, and it's very considered.
But when Bernie Sanders said she'll say anything, did the rest of the Democratic Party just go, "You idiot, shut up"? What are you doing? Because he said she'll move to the Senate, but she still holds dear all the things he holds dear.
Have you seen her talk to or about or with Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders?
That could be calculated too, Mark.
It could be calculated. That's right. It wouldn't be a bad move. But
it'd be a great move.
I truly believe she's gone.
What do you think of the fact that
really?
Yeah, because the country, she believes and knows that the country needs to come together.
Interesting. He's going to continue right here. Hold on. Let me pull up this one again. Back to Cuban and everything else. Let's do it.
Candidate talk about the debt or deficit ever.
No, that's
that. It is a great giveaway on. And the question is, who's giving away more?
Yeah, yes, no.
There's a competition going on.
She's raising taxes, right? She was very straightforward.
Right.
Corporate income tax 28%, which is still cheaper than a tariff plus 20%.
But wouldn't you personally rather stay at 21?
It doesn't affect me one way or the other.
Not you.
For my businesses.
For everybody else.
For the country.
For everybody else.
Well, no, you have to look at the deficit, and the revenue has
to come. But that's not where we should go for it.
What's that?
I don't think that's where
we should go for it then.
I'd go taxing his loans that he takes on his billions.
Yeah, but you know what? And I don't do that, right?
No, I know. But you know the people that.
No, I know what you're saying.
Able to.
When interest rates were near zero net effective rate, right? Everybody did that because if you can't make more than 1% on your return, it was easy to, right? Now with interest rates of 4 or 5%, it makes no sense. So you can do that, and she's not opposed to it, but it's not going to generate as much money. I think there's a lot more revenue available from taxes on stock buybacks, and because taxes on stock buybacks, think about where the cash structure is in a company. If you have something to invest in R&D or whatever, you do it, right? If you have a company to buy or people to hire, whatever, you do it. If you can't find a better way to invest your capital, you buy back shares. So it's really saying, okay, let's tax the buybacks, and that'll create a ton of revenue to reduce the deficit.
It'll either create a ton of revenue or it will change business behavior. Lee Cooperman was on yesterday saying that, look, we saw the good stock buybacks. Then with prices at high levels, you saw a lot of bad ones too. He pointed out how much
there's always bad ones, right?
Bought back at high levels. But if it does that, if it changes corporate behavior, you're not going to have the revenue you would have assumed.
And that's fine too. That means they're investing it or they're paying dividends, right? So think about that. If it pushes them towards dividends, and I also suggested to them, and I don't know if they'll do it, is rather than for a family of four, I think if you have income under $89,000, then your dividends are tax-free, right? So you bump up that amount to $250,000 or $400,000 because if a higher tax rate on stock buybacks pushes the dividends, then it's actually tax-free money that goes into the economy. Remember when Microsoft did that special dividend of billions of dollars 20 years ago? That actually impacted GDP. So having big companies put money back into dividends and now investors truly buying because they get a return instead of just hoping the market goes up, that's not a bad thing either.
How do you feel about industrial policy? One of the things she did talk about was investing in a number of different industries in a big way.
In a big way.
Over the next 10 years.
Yeah, contrast.
There are some people who say we shouldn't have industrial policy like this, and we've tried this before, and it's been a mistake, and other people who say we need to.
Different world. Our military dominance, our place in the world, depends on our ability to invest in AI. Period, end of story. Whoever wins AI has the best military. There's no question about it. And private companies, while they obviously invest a lot, the Department of Defense obviously invests a lot, we need to do more. We cannot lose that battle or we lose everything. That defines our currency. It defines how we compete in the world. It defines our military. So investing that is critical.
There was a piece out just recently about that there has not been a manufacturing boom, that there was post-pandemic for a year, but it's been bad. It's been bad for the past 3 years. The ISM, the index, has been contracting since 2022, right when the IRA was passed. So there's been no
Yeah, Joe, okay, look, there's 500.
But are you sure that they, I mean, this was my fear, Solyndra. That's my fear.
Yeah, picking winners and losers, yeah.
Exactly. Intel, we decide now Intel can't get out
but
of
it. But TSMC is making, what, 5 millimeter, 3 nano, whatever it is, chips already, and that's needed. That's critical, right? That's critical for U.S. security. But to your point, right, what is it, 75% of manufacturers have under 20 employees, right? There's like 4,000 companies that have more than 5 manufacturing companies. Donald Trump is trying to come in with a hammer and say, you're the nail. I'm going to hit you with a 200% tariff, John Deere. Kamala Harris is saying, I'm going to give you incentives to manufacture more. Which do you think is going to work better with companies? Do you want to be underneath a hammer? Because when you put a 200% tariff on John Deere and only a 10 or 20% tariff on their Chinese competitors, their Chinese competitors are now less expensive than John Deere. And it's not so easy. We saw what happened with Carrier, right? When in 2016 they said, if you move down, we're going to tax you more, 35% tariff back then. And what Carrier did, they just gamed the system. Right? They just fired different employees.
Do you think any of the 40-year highs in inflation are attributable to price gouging? And do you care that is the entire premise on?
No, you're misrepresenting what she's saying, Joe.
I'm watching her ads now.
Okay, so then let's
you've seen the ads.
Yeah, of course. Right.
I'm going to bring down
during the crisis.
Okay, what do you think caused the 40-year? Do you think supermarket gouging had anything to do with?
No.
You think it was putting too much stimulus on top of a supply constrained?
Biden and
it just looks to me like they're not being truthful with us, and they're trying to deflect blame to corporations because of their record.
It's still important. There's going to be another hurricane. There's going to be another tornado. There's going to be another natural disaster. And there are 37 states that have laws.
But the free market comes in and
no, it doesn't, though, Joe.
It does eventually. It does eventually.
But eventually, meanwhile, 37 states have the same type of law, right?
And what happened? By the way, how do you feel about the credit cards?
You mean
Mr. Socialist Donald Trump?
Trump wants to limit the credit card controls.
There's only one candidate that's brought up price controls, and that's Donald Trump.
And even when we talk about what the tariffs are going to do, in one case, we know exactly what his tariffs did the first time, 1.9% inflation. We know exactly. That's where it was. That's where it was. The other thing, Mark, I still think immigration and illegal immigration is a huge drain on a lot of the jobs that we've added. There's been no net gain among natural born. I'm not saying I don't want immigration. We all love immigration. It's made this. We're all immigrants. We're all descended from immigrants. But I don't think you can have an open southern border.
No, I agree. And she agrees, too. She said the exact same thing.
She had a chance.
Yeah, but, Joe, there's a lot of COOs that when the CEO leaves for whatever reason, come in, take over, and have completely different policies and approaches, right? That's just the way it works. When you're second in command, you do what your boss tells you to do. He delegates authority to you.
But the border was supposed to be her.
Yeah, but still the same thing. It's his policies. What he said to her was, you go down and you use diplomacy to try to improve, to try to reduce the flow, the migration of people across the border, right? And when they finally came around, and it took too long, I agree, but when they finally got there, now look at the results. It didn't take a wall, but yet the crossing numbers are where Trump's were pre-pandemic, at the same number. So it worked. So what she did actually worked, right?
Stop the cap.
I don't agree with that, the border policies, but whatever. I don't think it worked. All right. Bitcoin tests 65,000 after positive U.S. economic data, rather. Let's see what they got to say over here on Crypto World. CNBC have had enough of the politics bullshit.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories for today. SEC Chair Gary Gensler joined Squawk Box this morning and talked crypto rulemaking. When asked about the agency's regulation by enforcement approach, he emphasized that the SEC is also a law enforcement agency.
We oversee the markets. We approve all those registrations when people go public and so forth. But we also, about 700 plus times a year, bring actions. We have to go in front of a judge and sometimes juries. So now it brings it back to this new innovation. And what Satoshi Nakamoto did, we're almost at October, so it's almost the 16th anniversary, 16th birthday of Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's an innovation. But innovations don't long thrive if they don't also build trust.
Gensler, who was nominated by President Biden, has been widely criticized for his perceived hostile approach on crypto. When asked about both presidential candidates Trump and Harris's statements on the industry and how that would affect the SEC's work, he said that innovation and investor protections are complementary.
On the policies, I think it's quite clear that investor protection helps build innovation. Innovation is compatible with investor or consumer protection if it's about automobiles or cribs or anything else. I think they complement each other. And I said this when I was teaching back at MIT. I said, this field will not long survive if you can't build that investor trust in the markets.
He also stood firm on his stance that clear rules do exist for the industry. Earlier this week, Gensler and other SEC commissioners joined a House Financial Services Committee hearing and was grilled by numerous lawmakers who argued the need for more regulatory clarity. Gensler was sometimes at odds with fellow commissioners. During questioning from the Republican Congressman Andy Barr of Kentucky, Commissioner Hester Peirce admitted that a lack of clarity is not conducive to investor protection, while Chair Gensler has often pointed to the Howey test as a clear framework. Next, the U.S. is cracking down on alleged illicit Russian crypto exchanges. The Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, is sanctioning Sergei Ivanov of Russia and crypto exchange Cryptex. That's according to FinCEN, which also says it identified another exchange, PM2BTC, as a concern for money laundering in connection with Russian illicit finance. The U.S. Department of State is offering a $10 million reward for information leading to the arrest or conviction of Ivanov. Earlier this year, the country approved a new law that permits crypto transactions for cross-border payments as it's been facing financial pressure from Western-imposed sanctions. All right, let's get back to the market for our main story. Crypto World's Jordan Smith spoke with Andy Baer of CoinDesk Indices to learn more about Bitcoin's recent rally and how the current macroeconomic environment could be a boost to crypto.
All right, Andy, thank you so much for being here. Let's start with your reaction to Bitcoin's price moves in the last few days, especially in the past 24 hours. We're on a trend higher. We're seeing Bitcoin hit 65K today. What's going on, and is this all about rates?
I think it's about rates. It's about realizing that we're at the beginning of a long rate cycle, and Bitcoin has gone from, I guess, a mood of being kind of predetermined or feeling about being cautious about upcoming news to feeling more confident. So the Bitcoin price action since the assertive 50 basis point cut by the Fed, continues today with news of stimulus in China and other good economic news. And we think that it'll continue. Our Bitcoin trend indicator is pointing into an uptrend position, which is the first time in quite a long time. Actually, more impressively and more kind of affirmingly for us is the breadth of the rally. Our CoinDesk 20 index, which measures the performance of top 20 tokens, actually outperformed Bitcoin in the days since the Fed announcement by about 4%. So we had been seeing Bitcoin lead rallies out and altcoins come and try to kind of catch up. This time we're seeing the altcoins come out and kind of lead the way. So it's both affirming in terms both in terms of breadth and in terms of duration.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? You guys think we're gonna have Bitcoin all-time high through the end of the year, and then alt season usually happens after that? Is that how it goes typically? If I'm not mistaken. Or is everything just, I'm assuming everything's going to kind of pump, but when Bitcoin has, or if it has a pullback after the beginning of the year, right? Alt season should happen, right?
A little bit more about what you're seeing in the data that you track, because for a while there was uncertainty about sort of how Bitcoin was going to track what's going on in the economy or what sort of fundamentals were moving the crypto market. It seems like we're moving back to standard, that rate cuts are good for crypto, that the macro picture right now seems good for crypto. Is that what you're seeing in the data that CoinDesk Indices is watching?
For sure. We like to think of Bitcoin as being a very singular, idiosyncratic or individual macro asset that reacts to expectations for future real rates. So that's going to be future rate expectations and future inflation expectations. Right now, as we enter an easing cycle, again, zooming out into the medium term, if we think that nominal rates are going to go down and inflation is not going to go down at the same velocity, then real rates are going to decrease over time. Bitcoin loves that. I think the rest of the market, which was really looking for Bitcoin to feel more confident before it kind of sprang back to life, not only Ether and Solana, but some of the smaller names like Aptos and Render and Hedera that make up constituents of our flagship CoinDesk 20 index, they I think immediately, as soon as the cut happened, started to feel as if, okay, now we're in this new territory, in this new regime. So at least that's how things are behaving, and it's been for a solid week now. So without any other particular catalysts with respect to the election or regulatory changes or changes around the world, it just seems like the mood's kind of lifted a little bit now that we're in this kind of new easing cycle. So we hope that it'll continue. We're also into autumn, which is typically a season when we sort of shake off the sand and get back to from the beach and then get back to work. So this may be just that kind of time too when investors get back and start to deploy capital into the entire digital asset class.
My team was just at Future Proof 2024 in LA. A lot of investment advisors were sort of tepid on crypto still. What's going to move the needle there? If it's not the ETFs themselves launching, is there something that you think people are waiting to see, or something that you think will get them excited to move them into this next adoption phase?
I heard that was a great event. I'm in Hong Kong right now, and I was at Token 2049 last week in Singapore, and the same kind of questions were coming up. Look, we have a very strong view on this topic. The institutional community has been looking at Bitcoin in particular for a long time, and at least $60 billion worth of interest has been expressed in Bitcoin ETFs. I think to a certain extent, I think we need more derivatives on Bitcoin, but other than that, there's enough market structure and availability that problem kind of has been solved. The next problem is going to be, well, do people who spend 2 to 5%, which is kind of the allocations that are talked about, if you're spending 2 to 5% of your time on this asset class, are you really going to learn the difference between Solana and Ethereum and Cardano and other layer ones and what Chainlink does and what Hedera does? You probably aren't. So our very strong view is that institutional adoption and better diversification benefits and all kinds of other classic investment benefits will be best served by an index. So we're pushing in that direction. I think in other parts of the world that will start to kind of come to fruition in things like structured products or index derivatives. In the United States, we'll have to find ways that institutions can sort of benchmark themselves and allocate to the asset class all at once. They're not going to be token pickers. They're going to be index buyers. So to the extent that regulation and market structure can support those things, we think that that's the biggest accelerant to institutional adoption.
So is he talking about like a top 10 or top 20, like altcoin market, something like that? Is that what he's talking about?
Real quick, if I can ask, we've seen that allocation size that you talked about, that 2 to 5%, sort of grow to that point. At one point, we were hearing 1 to 3%. Do you see that trend continuing as people got more comfortable? I mean, where do you see us sort of falling, if I can ask you to predict that far, how high that allocation is?
That's a great question. And some of that's just based on price appreciation right there, right? 1 to 2% can become 2 to 5%. When I think about big institutions that like a pension fund, ultimately, when you think about digital assets entering a strategic asset allocation, it's going to be small. It's going to be 1 to 2%, maybe a little bit more, because there's a lot going on in those portfolios. There's already a lot of alternatives risks. When we think about the advisor community that's advising retail, mass affluent, wealth, especially with interest rates starting to come down and yield a little bit harder to find, the 1 to 2% becoming 2 to 5% feels not so much like a giant leap. Also, 1 to 2 became 2 to 5 kind of with the presence of Bitcoin ETFs and how well they've worked. The market structures worked really well. The adoptions worked well. We've married two different, kind of otherwise unrelated market structures where you can have Bitcoin delivered into trust to support ETFs, and that's worked magically well. And certainly, as a platform, can support many other tokens. So I think the safety and the fact that Bitcoin's a year older, Ether's a year older, the networks are stronger, means that I think that there's a lot more education going on, means that advisors can actually reach a bit deeper. The other thing to keep in mind is that volatility is coming down in this asset class, right? So Bitcoin at its kind of least volatile times is only about twice as volatile as equities, or is as volatile as equities are when they're turbulent. Bitcoin's not a 100 vol asset anymore. It's more like a 50 vol asset. So when you think about how much risk you're deploying, 1 to 2% going to 2 to 5%, it doesn't seem like such a big jump.
Okay, that's all we have for Crypto World today. We'll be back here.
All right, shout out to CNBC Crypto World. Let's see. I don't know if I want to listen to Lark. Here's a long video. I don't know. I kind of want to see what Altcoin Daily has to say over here because we don't have too much time. If you guys want, I do have this in the description below if you want to listen to Lark Davis talking about Bitcoin just flipped. I think he's going to do some chart and stuff. I haven't seen the video, but the real reason Bitcoin is about to hit 70K. Let's see what Altcoin Daily has to say. He's going to break down a little bit about, obviously, Gary Gensler being on CNBC television. Let's do it. Sorry, Andrew. We're doing it.
Nakamoto did. We're almost at October, so it's almost the 16th anniversary, 16th birthday of Bitcoin. Right. And it's an innovation.
Bitcoin is on a moon mission right now. $70,000 Bitcoin can happen sooner rather than later. Tell a friend. It's crazy to me how so many people are missing out on everything going on. Donald Trump recently made history. First Bitcoin transaction by a president.
The first transaction by a president on the Bitcoin protocol. History.
They just made the first transaction in Bitcoin.
Days later, he was
spending $900 on cheeseburgers.
down on his original pay off the U.S. debt with a little Bitcoin. You remember this.
Who knows, maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand him a little crypto check, right? We'll hand him a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
But how do you... Well, days ago, he said it again. He said, I think crypto has got a great future. Maybe we pay off the $35 trillion with Bitcoin.
I'm curious what you think the future of crypto looks like if, God forbid, you don't win the election.
Future of crypto? What does it look like? Well, I think it's a good future. You know, who knows about anything today? But I think it's a good future. I'll tell you what, you look at values, you look at what's happening and where it's come and where it came from. I think crypto's got a great future. I think it really does. Maybe we'll pay off the $35 trillion in crypto. I'll write out a little piece of paper, 35 trillion crypto. We have no debt, right? That's what I like, right? He likes that idea too, he's laughing.
Hold on. Just for anybody wondering. We have, what is this? 1 trillion, 1.2 trillion. So that's not gonna happen. Just wanted to throw that out there.
President Kamala Harris recently shocked the United States, coming out as pro-crypto. This is a total
This whole, like, all this election shit, like, it just cracks me up, like, most of it, right? Like, again, I don't really care about politics. It's not for me. I don't give a shit. It's just, everybody lies, cheats, and steals to get to the top. That's it. That's how it goes, man.
From what Biden and Kamala used to say, she goes, we will remain dominant in AI, quantum computing, blockchain, and other emerging technologies.
So I will recommit the nation to global leadership in the sectors that will define the next century. We will invest in biomanufacturing and aerospace, remain dominant in AI and quantum computing, blockchain, and other emerging technologies.
And Mark Cuban is, in fact, working closely with the Harris administration, often in TV appearances, saying that Kamala is evolving and becoming pro-crypto and pro-business, as he is closely advising her.
One of the things that really resonates with young men, and I have a 15-year-old son, is crypto. And she talks specifically about encouraging blockchain innovation and that was important to her and that she was going to be supportive of it. That's really important to young men. And I think as that message starts to get out more and more, it'll start to resonate with young men even more.
So now we have two candidates who are pro-crypto in their own different ways. And I was actually surprised what job Mark Cuban said that he would want in a Kamala Harris presidential administration. If Mark Cuban did this job, that would be a breath of fresh air.
Could I ask you, Mark, whether you would entertain being a Treasury Secretary, Commerce Secretary in a Harris
Head of the
administration?
SEC. Head of the SEC. That's a job I would take.
Mark Cuban would be so much better than Gary Gensler.
So is your argument that you're doing this to make crypto stronger?
We're again merit neutral. Crypto is only a small part of our capital markets. I mean, it's a little less than 1% of the world capital markets. But it's basically to instill trust and protect investors. Look at the leading lights in this field, in the crypto field, just 2 years ago. A number of them are in jail right now. And I'm not just talking about SBF. I mean, a number of others. Yeah. And there's been tens of billions of dollars of losses and bankruptcies and so forth.
Where do you think Bitcoin is going to be in our society 20 years from now? If you were to sort of,
I don't really know.
Any idea?
I don't know. I mean, there's 7 billion people around the globe. I'm not going to make a prediction as to any one project, but what I would say is the field is going to have a challenge building trust,
right?
And it already has a challenge building trust when there's so many fraudsters, scammers, grifters in the field, and there are.
But what happens if, for example, former President Trump is talking about whether we should have effectively a Bitcoin reserve fund, a sovereign Bitcoin fund? Would you be in favor of something like that?
Again, I'm going to
take the policy out, take the politics out of it. I'm just asking, you know, if someone in Congress came to you and said, "Hey, Gary, we're thinking of creating a sovereign wealth fund in Bitcoin," would you say that's a good idea? That's a bad idea?
I would say I'm going to stick to the role I'm in. It's a great role overseeing as chair of an agency.
But you're a very smart guy who knows a lot about this space. You've taught about this space. You should. I imagine you have a view. Is it that you don't feel like you can share the view? Or it's that you don't have a... I don't believe you don't have a view.
No, I have a view. I have a view.
And you just think it's a role, given your role, you think you're not supposed to say?
I think, given my role, and also we're in election season. So I just think, you know, for the listening public, I will stick to, you know, my chalk lines. And my chalk lines are securities markets, and Chairman Powell and others at the Federal Reserve could speak to that. But yes, I do have a view on that.
And of course, maybe...
Real quick, Mr. Crypto Mikkel just reminded me that CZ goes free today. Hadouken. Perfect. CZ. He's the former owner or ran Binance, right? So I wonder if he's going to get back into it. I doubt it, right? I doubt it. Not after that.
Maybe the biggest reason Bitcoin and crypto is projected to keep going up, the Fed rate cuts. As Pomp says here, Bitcoin is projected to be a big winner in all of this.
I want to start just where we are in crypto land and what you think is really happening here. Obviously, there's been a big move that happened after the Fed lowered interest rates effectively, or cut the rate by 50 basis points. How much of this is now built in to the rest of the year? Meaning we know that the cuts are likely to continue. Therefore, is 64,000 or 63,000 it's going to just stay level, or it keeps going up, goes down? What do you see?
Well, I think, if we look at that Fed interest rate cut, Bitcoin is the best performing asset so far. Gold and oil futures are kind of second. There's a new study that just came out from Lynn Alden and Sam Galligan that said Bitcoin is the most sensitive asset when it comes to global liquidity. And so 83% of the time, Bitcoin moves with global liquidity. It's more than S&P or any other asset. And so if you look at not just the interest rate cuts, now M2 money supply is expanding, and also we have cuts going on in China and elsewhere. And so I think that Bitcoin ends up being a big winner whenever we get kind of cheap money flooding into the system. And it feels like we just went through this big regime change, right? We were tightening. Everyone was trying to kind of drain liquidity from the system. Now we're going to go the other way. And so Bitcoin should be a big winner here.
And understand, these Fed rate cuts will keep going throughout 2025, maybe even 2026. You saw our interview with analyst Virtual Bacon. This is the way you need to think about it. This makes me incredibly bullish. What's your outlook?
We are seeing the next 9 FOMC meetings having at least 9 rate cuts. And we're potentially seeing 1 double cut somewhere next year. So the rate cut cycles, like once they start, they keep going. They don't just randomly revert. And it goes kind of one direction only.
What is your Bitcoin price prediction for 2025?
I guess I'll start with the prediction. I have always held this kind of relatively like average number of around 200K for my personal portfolio. That wraps just around to 4 to 5 trillion-ish for Bitcoin market cap, total market cap just under 10 trillion. And I think that's fair. I think for sure we will reach 100K. As long as things line up and as long as S&P recovers nicely, like 100K is a very easy number at this point. The question is like, when do we reach that? So far, it looks like the rate cut cycle will at least last till Q4 2025. And even with all the projections that they have made, the Fed has already released their targets by the end of 2025 for rates, and they need so many FOMCs to get there. The only question is, will they keep cutting rates in 2026? And that kind of we don't know. So I think the bull run will at least last until end of 2025. That's why I'm taking it one step at a time. If we see, I want to give myself kind of conservative on both sides as well, time versus price. So if we see Bitcoin reaching 200K in 2025, I think that I'm happy with that. I'll start to take large portions off the table. But if we don't see that and we are kind of Q3-ish 2025, then we'll have to look at the drawing board again and figure out if liquidity injection is going to continue into 2026, then we maybe wait a bit longer. So there's a time horizon and there's a price horizon both.
But you think 200K is possible in 2025 or near 2026?
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think that's my average expected return.
So let me tell you how it's going to happen. We're going to see some...
Real quick question. What do you guys think? Once we break 100K, do you think it's going to come back under 100K? And where do you think it would go to, right? I think, personally, I think the peak of the cycle is probably going to be 120-ish. That's just my guess. Everybody's saying 200. I really don't think it's going to get there. There's just, I don't know. Again, people were calling for over 100 last time, right? And we only got to, 69 or whatever it was. So I think about 120 or so is way more realistic than 200, right? But what are we going to come back down to? Like 80K? Something like that? Trying to get you off the arguing of bullshit in the chat. 120K, 240K says son of a rabbit. Dude, I wish. That'd be sick. $1 billion, Dr. Evil. Shark Farmer. All right, let me finish this video. You guys let me know what you think. Where are we gonna, if we go up to 120, where are we gonna come back down to on the bear market side?
Some volatility around this resistance, but once Bitcoin reclaims $70,000, not even all-time highs, just $70,000, this will be the beginning of this launch pad that we've been forming to take us from 70 to $100,000.
This has been quite the descending wedge. It's not a wedge though, just a channel, descending channel. Is that bullish technically, right? So we have been creating a nice launch pad.
After Bitcoin hits $100,000, all bets are off. Then it's a question of how high do we really go in this Bitcoin cycle? Is it just 125? Is it 200,000 like Virtual Bacon thinks? Or where do we go? Let me know.
See, my thing, like the reason I asked you guys that question is because once it gets over 100K, I'm taking profits. 1000%. I'm not holding this shit up and down again this cycle. Do you know what I mean? So I want to sell at some point, but obviously, I want to have opportunities to get back in. So it's really just a guessing game. Once it gets up and over, where is it going to come back down to, right? We're gonna come back down to 70 at some point, maybe. I don't know. I'm not gonna sell all my Bitcoin. I'll hold some for a good time, right? For a good while, at least to 2030. That's my plan. But I do want to take profits on some of it, at least half of it, right? What I hold.
Know your thoughts below. Of course, my name is Aaron at Altcoin Daily. Subscribe to our.
All right. Thank you, Aaron, over at Altcoin Daily for that. All right, we're gonna move on to the recap segment of things. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Whoever is just joining, here we go. Bitcoin $65,540. A Duke into everybody holding Bitcoin. We got Ethereum at 2656. I really want to see Ethereum break a new all-time high this cycle. That'd be nice. I have a decent amount of Ethereum still. Solana, $156. We got XRP again over here letting us down 58 cents. We got ADA at 40 cents. Litecoin at just under $70. Look at that. $69.97 now. Perfect. Look at that. ETC over $20. That is perfect. Perfect. We have Caspa up over 16.5 cents. Perfect. Also perfect. Everything looks great. AVAX up 6.22% to $29.98, almost $30. We got Dogecoin pushing up over 12 cents. Hell yeah, it's actually 12.3, up over 8% today. Again, Shiba and Pepe, Loki, all these meme coins are starting to rocket off. I kind of hope we start, actually, are we supposed to get a platform for KRC20 tokens? Does anybody know? Please let me know in the chat if anybody knows of any talks about some sort of platform to actually trade instead of using that Telegram bot. Because I hope the meme coin thing, it sucks that, like, you know, that's what KRC20 is probably going to turn into, but there's a lot of funny meme coins on there. So listen, if we can make money off Ethereum meme coins, you can make money anywhere. just saying. Yeah, Solana meme coins, you guys know they took the top of the charts for a while, but yeah, I think meme coins are going to be a thing. Let's see, Arrow over here of 24.9% to $1.25. Let's see, I'm running over my time. Flashbang real quick. We got Fear and Greed Index at a 61. Looking pretty good. As long as it's under 75, we're doing all right. Again, if you guys don't know, Bitcoin is at a $1.2 trillion market cap, so we ain't paying any $36 trillion debt or whatever it is we have with Bitcoin. That's not happening, but I don't know what the fuck I just did. God damn it. There we go. Change it back to market cap. All right. Anyways, guys, listen, you're all fantastic. I love you all. Hopefully you guys have a safe and happy Friday. You guys know it's Friday. I'm going to leave you with this. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys probably Saturday night. I'll be around Saturday night, but I have to go to Awaken Funeral on Sunday, so it's probably going to be a little bit earlier of a show. I'm going to talk to the boys, see if we can get start a little bit earlier. And then, yeah, I'll be back Monday, and I'll catch you guys then. So have a good day. Happy Friday. Let's do it.
I wanna hold on till I can't no more.
She don't talk, do it. We don't talk, do it.
I love titties. Have a happy and safe Friday. I'll see you guys next time. Peace, peace.
Perfect.